and welcome back to the Chatty Ramble. And our next episode, I am Caroline, the original Dragon Lady, as I'm sure you know by now. And my guest, I've got another stateside guest, but this time from Canada. And apparently, Vice just said they've got a foot of snow. Well, you can keep the bloody snow. We don't want it. You're welcome to the snow. Thank
Thanks.
you.
We're very happy to have the snow.
Thank you so much for joining me on the Chatty Ramble. So obviously we've talked previously. Have you done Dragon Thunder?
I was a speaker in Dragon Thunder 2024, and I am so excited I get to open the summit in 2025. I'm the first speaker slot. So I'm super excited about that.
Excellent, excellent. So, for anybody of you who have been asleep on planet Earth, Dragon Thunder is a global online summit held by our mutual friend Kevin Humphrey, who lives in Devon, who's also got snow. And he holds it every July, and is it 24 hours this year? No, sorry, 2025.
I know there are 30 speakers, 30 live speakers, in addition to pre-recording. I believe that it is still going to be 24 hours, and a few of the speakers overlap kind of in the middle to get 30 live speakers in.
Wow. Wow. So in July 2025, so this will be going out in January 2025. So in July 2025, if you want to know meet some of the best dragon speakers in the world, you need to get your tickets booked and your backside sat down in front of Dragon Thunder, which is in July. So Dragon Thunder Summit.
July
Anyway,
13th.
July 13th, is it?
Yeah. Yeah. Technically for me, it starts July 12th because I'm 8 hours before you guys. But yeah,
No, after, aren't you?
no,
Well, I thought you were. Oh, you're
before.
behind us. Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
No, I
You
don't
are
know.
in the future. You're
Time
in the
zones.
future.
Time
To
zones.
me.
They make my brain hurt.
I get
Anyway,
it.
so it goes live in the UK July 13th. Is that a Saturday? I
That's
guess it
Sunday.
is.
Because it's Saturday for me when I start. So
Okay. So anyway, find the calendars. There we go. See, this is the Chatty Ramble. Anyway, shall we get down to business, bye?
that sounds awesome.
So I know that you have written a book that's coming out if fairly soon, or very exciting.
It's all very exciting.
Dragons and crystals. Shall we start there? Is it dragons and crystals? You did say dragons and crystals to me earlier, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah. Dragons and crystals.
Tell me more. I'm intrigued. I'll now shut up, finish from waffling.
Well, I appreciate your questions and you are welcome to ask them at any time. But I thought I would share the title of my book, which is a bit of a mouthful. And it kind of tells you everything you need to know about the book. This title is Dragon Wisdom, and the subtitle is Quantum Leap Your Spiritual Evolution with Empowering Channeled Messages and Inspired Actions from the Dragon Crystal Guardians.
Wow, that is a mouthful.
It really is. But it has all of the pieces that I needed to put in the subtitle, which is what is the benefit of reading the book? Quantum Leap Your Spiritual Evolution. How do you do that? With empowering channeled messages and inspired actions from who? The Dragon Crystal Guardians. So it's got all the pieces.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So how did you come to write the book? This, because I've been following your journey on Facebook with this.
Aww.
And every now and again, there's a post comes, oh, I've written chapter, la, 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 la. And it's like, oh, well done, that girl.
How did it come about? Well, I started channeling dragons in August of 2023. So I haven't been doing it very long compared to some of your other dragon guests on your podcast. But I am not new to the spiritual journey. So I've been doing my own spiritual journey since my intuitive reawakening in 2010. And in 2017, I started the Metaphysical School, which was meant to be an online international platform teaching about intuitive development and spiritual healing and soul purpose embodiment. And so I was the founder of this school that had 40 faculty members from around the world, and we offered 60 courses. And in January, I figured out that I needed to write a book about the dragon wisdom that they were giving to me. So I connected with my first dragon, Ashara, my dragon spirit guide, who rests within me, in August. And then I connected with another dragon crystal guardian a couple of weeks later, and then connected with the Dragon Crystal Guardian Collective. And they told me, you will be our emissary and more will come. And I was like, that's a really great, field of dreams moment there. Could you elaborate for me? could you tell me more? And that's all they said. And I was like, okay, great. But what ended up happening was more and more and more and more Dragon Crystal Guardians started connecting with me. And I've now connected with over 90 Dragon Crystal Guardians and over 100 dragons in total. So most of the dragons I've connected with are Dragon Crystal Guardians. And when I connect with them, there's kind of two levels. The first level is like the superficial level. And I usually receive their crystals usually first, and then their gender, and then like their dragon energy signature. And for those of us who have connected with dragons, once you feel a dragon energy, you know what dragon energy feels like. But they each have their own individual signature to them. And that's usually what I get when I talk to them. They'll tell me a little bit about themselves. I'll get a feeling for their personality and what they look like. And when I connect on a deeper level, they will share with me a message that they have for humanity. And so the book came about that all of these Dragon Crystal Guardians were giving me messages to share with humanity, because there's this great dragon awakening happening right now. You are probably well aware of it, and as are your audience members. And so they need to share their messages with humanity, and us, humans are their voice. And so this book is sharing their message, because many of the dragons, not just the Dragon Crystal Guardians, but many dragons of Gaia and galactic dragons, they want to help us progress along our spiritual evolution. They recognize that we're at this critical stage, and they want to help us progress. And so that's why the book is called Quantum Leap Your Spiritual Evolution, because that's what their messages are about. It's about helping us progress on our spiritual journeys.
Absolutely. And it's really interesting, because some of the things you've said there are things that I've also known. And I love the fact that you point out that there is two levels to the dragons. There's that superficial level, and there's that deeper level that is the real work. So you've got the, oh, hi, I'm your dragon guide. Hello, I'm here. Which is out of the superficial level, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or I've got a, whatever dragon they happen to be. But then if you go below that's where the real work starts, isn't it? And
there's always deeper layers.
Interesting how they'll give us a piece of information with no instructions, and then expect us to work it out.
Yeah. Some of these messages, like, I would ask them, do you have a message to share with humanity at this time? And some of them are 2 words, like, be calm or be patient. And how do I write a whole dragon chapter about be calm? But it worked out, because what happened when I was writing the dragon chapters, so the book itself has 64, because dragons love the number 8, and 64 is 8 squared. And what happened when I was writing my dragon chapters is, even if the message was as simple as be calm, I have an 800 word chapter for that dragon and their message. And while I was writing, one of the sections of each dragon chapter is the deeper wisdom of the dragon's message. And so there's an entire paragraph about the deeper layers of something as simple as be calm or be patient. And so the deeper layers were channeled while I was writing. And then while I was editing the book, even more layers came through, and I was like, this is amazing. So every time you revisit a dragon message, there are deeper and deeper layers to the
Yeah,
wisdom, even if the message itself is as simple as 2 words.
yeah, absolutely. I found that nice when I was doing the deck, actually. It's, the initial messages, but the initial messages for most of the deck was actually written in 2006, 2007. And you think then that was 10 years before they came out. So no, when I revisited it those twice. And yes, there's more comes out, but I was also aware that actually there was an awful lot more there for people to intuit for themselves, that they needed to connect with the actual dragons.
Those are instructions in my book itself. Like, don't just connect with the message, connect with the dragon and
Dragon.
figure out, what does the message mean for you in this moment. And if somebody
Absolutely.
purchases the book and they read it as soon as they get it, and they read it again a year later, the message is going to have different meaning for them,
It
because
lands differently.
they'll be in a different part of their journey, for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. Because how you receive it and how it lands will be completely different, because you're in a completely different space. Now what was I going to ask you? I had a question then. What was I going to ask you?
Well, I was going to say,
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask you a question, actually. Did the book come first, or your deck came first? Your deck came
Deck.
first. Okay. Because my original intention was to create my deck first, the Dragon Crystal Guardian Oracle deck. And I started writing the guidebook. And too much information was coming through for each dragon when I was writing the guidebook. And I was like, oh, I
Yeah.
guess I'm writing the book first, and then uh shortening it for the guidebook part. And so that's why the book is coming out first,
Oh.
because there was too much information, and I couldn't, at the time that it was coming through, I couldn't bring myself to not include everything that was coming through for it. And
Yeah.
so I could curtail it for the deck. And I was like, okay, well, I guess the book is coming out first. The dragons will tell you
Excellent.
how it's gonna go. So
Completely. Now, that was my question. Now, this is something that occurred to me a little while ago, that when you're working with like dragon decks in particular, and dragon energy, but I was thinking along the line of decks rather than anything else. It's interesting, and I just wanted to get your take on this. My understanding, how I've worked with oracle decks in the past, is that you take a message from the deck, and then it lands how it lands with you, and either resonates or it doesn't resonate. But with the dragons, my thoughts, feelings are that you're actually always invited to not just read the message, but to connect with that actual dragon.
100%.
And that to me is very different from all the other oracle decks that are on the market. Because
You know that with
I
the
don't know,
angel
maybe I just
decks?
missed something, but it feels like the other oracle decks that are on the market is like you don't connect with the energy of that persona of that card in the same way that you do when you connect with the dragon oracles.
Well, hmm, I think dragons are more involved in our spiritual evolution than some of the other spiritual beings that oracle decks are about.
Yeah, yeah, I think you're right, because I just found it really interesting. It dawned on me a little while ago that, hang on, I don't work with any other. I've never worked with any other deck the way that, or I've not seen or been invited to work with the energies to go beyond the messages that are in the deck. And it's, yeah, I just found that a really interesting concept that I hadn't actually twigged initially. And it only
Well,
seems to happen with dragon decks, that you're requested, almost told, yeah, told to go beyond and connect with that actual dragon and experience that dragon for yourself.
I agree.
Yeah, there was a convoluted way of saying that, wasn't it?
Well, after the first 30 Dragon Crystal Guardians that I connected with, I knew that I had to create an oracle deck to share them with the world. And the dragons knew that that was going to happen. And so the dragons that were ready to share themselves with the world and with humanity came forward first.
Yeah.
And there are a couple of dragons who connected with me who weren't sure if they wanted to be in the deck and the book until much later in the process. So two of them, they're my personal dragon guides now. I call them my dragon family. I have 4 dragons in my, dragon family who rest within me. And 2 of them were like, I don't know if I want to be in the deck. But after we got to like getting close to 60, they were both like, yes, I want to be in the deck. Okay. People are going to connect with you. Yes. Okay.
Isn't that
That's how
interesting?
it went. Yeah. Each
It's
dragon had a choice, right? Like I asked
completely.
them, do you want to be a part of the deck? And all of them that weren't these 2 family members of mine said, like, yes, otherwise we wouldn't have connected with you. Okay.
Yeah.
All right then.
Yes, because when I was revisiting my deck, it was Mary Magdalene came in and I wanted to put her in the deck and she was like, no. And that was a really hard no. It was this no,
Interesting.
it's not appropriate at this time. And so she actually ended up, and I ended up actually doing a workshop with her. I'd done a couple of talks and workshops with Mary Magdalene and the Sapphire Ray Dragons. But isn't it interesting how there is this, yes, I want to be a part of this. I'm what I am, but we work with the collective. And there's this other aspect of the dragons where it's like, no, we're your personal guides. It's just
Yeah.
really interesting, isn't it? So tell me a bit more about the crystal dragons. So what are they about?
Well, when I connected with the very first dragon ever, she didn't have a name.
Okay.
And the reason why I connected with her was because I guess I can tell the story. At the beginning of August 2023, dragons started showing up everywhere in my life. They were all over my social media feeds. People were sending me emails about dragons. I wasn't in any Facebook dragon groups. They were not a thing for me. And after 3 weeks, I'm laying in bed because I don't sleep very well, and I'm scrolling through Facebook and I see yet another dragon. And it finally occurs to me to ask, I wonder if there's a dragon spirit guide who's trying to connect with me. And nothing happened. And I was like, okay, I guess that's a no. But because I've been working on listening to my intuition and following its nudges, I did feel a powerful intuitive nudge to pick up one of my crystals that was on my headboard. So I'm also a crystal healer. I've been crystal healer for many years. And my headboard is obviously full of crystals. And I picked up this crystal, and it is a Preseli bluestone. You're probably familiar with it. It's also called
Oh
Stonehenge
yes,
stone.
Stonehenge.
And so this crystal had been on my headboard for probably 2 years. I'd been wearing a Preseli bluestone bracelet also for 2 years at the time. And so I was familiar with this crystal. And I was like, okay, I'll pick up this tiny little, innocuous looking rock from England. And I held it in my left hand because that is my intuitive receiving hand. And as soon as I picked up this crystal, I felt a powerful energy come out of the crystal into my left hand, up my arm, all the way to my heart, and then from my heart up and down my entire body. And because I'd been working on listening to my intuition for 14 years, I knew that it was a female energy, it was very powerful, and it was a spiritual being. And I said, hello, who are you? And she said to me, I am the dragon crystal guardian of Preseli Bluestone. And to me, I heard Preseli Bluestone, even though that's not what she calls it. So she calls it Earthstone. And anyway, I was like, okay. I had never connected with a dragon before. This was very interesting. I had always thought that dragons were mythical creatures, like most of the people on the planet. Didn't know they were actual spiritual beings. And I said, that's interesting. Can you tell me more? And she said, dragons act as crystal guardians. There is a dragon guardian for each type of crystal.
Ah.
And I was very skeptical at this point because I'd never connected with dragons. I didn't know how many there were. And I said, that's pretty hard to believe. There are a lot of crystals. Like, there are a lot of different types of crystals.
Yeah.
And she said, it matters not what you believe.
That's a typical dragon answer, isn't
Yeah,
it?
totally. Now that I've, connected with so many, yes, I recognize that they don't care what you think. They'll share their information, and if it resonates with you, great, and if it doesn't, whatever. Yeah. But the reason why it was so hard for me to believe was twofold. One was I had no idea how many dragons and dragon types there were. Now, of course, I know that dragon crystal guardians are just one collective of many collectives in our universe.
Yep.
And two was my dragon and I had different definitions of what a crystal is. So for me, as a crystal healer, my definition of a crystal up until that point was a crystal is any rock, stone, gemstone, mineraloid that you can work with, with its metaphysical properties and energy to affect your energy. So basically anything that you can work with in terms of crystal healing.
Yeah.
Whereas my dragon, who it took 2 weeks to name her, but anyway, her name is Ashara. Ashara's definition of a crystal is a being that is born of Gaia with with a specific structure, like a molecular structure, she means, and with its own unique energy.
So even river pebbles would have a dragon spirit.
Oh, when I was talking with Ashara about, how many dragons and crystal guardians are there, she said, not all dragons have crystals and not all crystals have dragons.
Oh, okay.
So not necessarily.
Okay.
And the dragon chooses their crystal based on its energy. And so there's a resonance between a dragon and its crystal. So if you connect with Ashara, her energy is going to very, very much feel reminiscent of Preseli Bluestone. They are not the same.
No, of course.
They are both individuals, but you can feel the energy of Preseli Bluestone when you connect with Ashara. There are some others that they don't really feel the same, like two in particular I'm thinking of. Gru is the dragon crystal guardian of Moldavite. His name is Gru, is short for grumpy. He's a quite serious and grumpy dragon, and his energy does not feel like Moldavite very much at all. And Thorn is the dragon crystal guardian of Black Kyanite, and her energy does not feel like Black Kyanite at all. Black Kyanite to me is very calming, very grounding. It's a profound empath healing stone. Whereas Thorn is the goth version of dragon. She has very modern thought patterns, very modern speech, and her message to the world is be yourself no matter what. And so she's all about authenticity and boldness and, sharing who you are and your true self with no reservations, no fear, and total confidence. So yeah, the dragon crystal guardians don't always feel like they're crystals. But I was wondering if crystals like aura quartzes would have a dragon crystal guardian because they are synthetically modified.
Yeah.
And Ashara says no. Their crystal guardian would be clear quartz, what the crystal was before it was modified. And then the dragon can decide if they want to continue to be that crystal's guardian after it's been modified. Most of them don't because their energy's changed.
Yeah, of course. That makes so much sense. So my next question for you then, my trusty galactic. So if you have a carved crystal, so does each crystal have its own crystal guardian, or is it the collective of all the quartz or all the moldavites or all the, amethysts or whatever?
That's a very excellent question, because there are certain types of crystals that are only available in one place in the world, like Super 7. It's a kind of quartz only found in Brazil, right?
Yep.
And Brandberg quartz, only found in Africa.
What quartz?
Brandberg? That's
Never
what
heard
this
of
is.
that.
This is a Brandberg. It's often also called Brandenburg quartz.
Okay.
It's a type of clear quartz with inclusions of clear quartz, amethyst, and some other ones. They're super powerful clear quartzes with inclusions, like Super 7.
Okay.
And moldavite.
Nice piece of Super 7. Yeah.
Me too. I love it. Moldavite is also only found in one place in the world.
Yes, I know about that.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that from it? It came in from outer space and as a part of a
yes.
hit Earth and
yes.
as a
it was a meteorite.
Yeah.
It's a meteorite that hit in what is now Czech Republic, in the I believe it's called Moldava River and Valley.
That's right. Yes.
And that's why it's called moldavite. But yes, so there are some crystals that are only found in one place in the world. And they have, if they have a dragon crystal guardian, that is one. But amethyst is found like all over the world. Amber is found all over the world. So the dragon crystal guardian of Amber that I connected with, and by the way, his name is Amber. There are 3.
Very original.
I know there are 3 dragons in my my book and deck that chose the same name as their crystal. Amber is one of them. They all start with A, by the way, which is weird. But anyway, there is a dragon crystal guardian of Amber. The one that I connected with, he is in Poland. So he would be what you would consider Baltic amber. But there's amber in Mexico. There's amber in Canada. Those deposits, those crystals have a different energy, and therefore they have a different dragon crystal guardian. So there can be more than one dragon crystal guardian of amber. Just depends where they are in the world, which is why in my book, I put, there's a section called Origin, and that shows where they are in the world. Not, some of the locations are like Moldavite, right, Czech Republic, and some of them are like turquoise, which is Western United States. And so the region could be quite large or not quite large, but yeah, there are potentially dragon crystal guardians for the same type of crystal, but in different locations in the world.
So this is you probably can't see it very clearly, it's a piece of fluorite, very beautiful piece of fluorite. So
very dark. Is that purple and green?
It's purple. The lighting is really rubbish tonight. Yes, so it's purple, and it's not really green, but it's more of a grey. But yeah, he has some in the proper light. I suppose he's a bit green in light, sunlight. But he's for me, he's my galactic. So who or what is his crystal guardian then?
So his crystal guardian would be the dragon crystal guardian of fluorite, and where that deposit came from.
I have absolutely no idea where it came from, deposit wise.
You can feel into that. I didn't know where any of my dragons were, and I kind of get this like world map in my head. Okay. And like it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Okay. Until I pinpoint an area or a region, right? Like I said, some regions are like Western United States.
Yeah.
Some of them are as specific as, like Super 7. It's that one mine in Brazil. Brazil is, by the way, full of dragons. So is New Zealand, but for different reasons.
Yeah. Yeah.
England, lots of dragons.
Yeah. South Africa too.
I have one South African dragon. Her name is Sutera. She is the dragon crystal guardian of Sutulet.
Oh. So there's Table Mountain has got dragons. So wherever you've got there's lots of dragons. There's lots of dragons of the land in Africa. And obviously there's connections to all kinds of stuff with the dragons. But yeah, there's a strong contingent in Africa of dragons.
Cool.
Amazing. So when's your book out?
My plan is mid-January-ish 2025. At the current moment, we are the end of November. The book is self-edited. It is with beta readers. I am self-publishing. And so at this point, I need a cover. I need to figure out how to format it for ebook. And then the ebook is going to be launched first so that I can get this information out sooner rather than later. And then I will figure out how to format it for print. And then I will do the print, and then the audiobook, and then the deck. One thing at a time.
Yeah, one job at a time.
Yeah.
Each of those is a huge task in and of itself. Having self-published and being traditionally published. Yeah, I know how much work goes into it. It is vast.
I know you do.
Amazing. So where can people find you? How do they find you?
You can find me at my website at thedragonmystic.com.
I like that.
Well, there's reasons behind why I chose thedragonmystic.com. One was my dragon mystic name. So Vivyana is obviously not my given name. It is my chosen dragon name, my mystic name, my pen name. Depends on who I'm talking to. But Vivyana is my chosen dragon name. And there was no way I was going to have a website, vivyana.com, because nobody was going to be able to spell it right. So I needed a website that was, in English. And so thedragonmystic.com, because after founding metaphysical school, one of the things that I taught was that there are 4 metaphysical archetypes: the healer, the seeker, the mystic, and the seer. And I feel that I have embodied my soul purpose as the healer and the seeker and the seer. And I hadn't really stepped into the mystic archetype and soul path yet until the dragons connected with me. And so I call myself the dragon mystic because this is me stepping in to my mystic soul path and channeling dragons and sharing channeled intuitive information without any tools. That's what my definition of a mystic is, as opposed to a seer who uses tools like oracle decks and runes and tea leaves and those sort of things. So that's my definition. And so this is me stepping into my mystic soul path. That's why I chose the dragon mystic.
So is the school still going?
I'm one person that couldn't do it all. I let it go this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you're now fully encompassing the dragons.
Yes.
And the crystal dragons at that.
Yes.
That must be a big decision, actually.
It was extremely difficult. I had given 7 years of my life to metaphysical school, but I knew I couldn't do both. And I knew that sharing dragon wisdom is a calling that I had to step into.
Of course.
So yeah, I let metaphysical school go and I fully stepped into the dragon mystic path.
Amazing. As ever, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. So we'll make sure we get all your links, website and everything else all below, and then a link to your book as well. Is that obviously going out on Amazon? I guess it was going to do an ebook.
It's going to go out on Amazon first as an ebook, and then it will be widely distributed through a bunch of ebook platforms and the print version as well. So yeah, it'll be available on many platforms, but Amazon first.
So I would like a signed copy of the book when it's out, please.
Well, I have a favor to ask of you while we are not on camera.
Okay, we will end there then.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining me, Vi. And I will see you guys in the next episode of the Chatty Ramble. Big love. Bye for now.